Hey, everybody. I am coming at you live for another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast, where we interview America's top managing partners to find out what they're doing to grow their law firms and to keep their case pipeline full. And today from Miami, Florida, Carlos Davila. Hey, Carlos.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did I nail it?
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, thanks
All
for
right.
having me on the show.
We had to practice that last name, but I wanted to make sure I got it. So good. Well, hey, Carlos, hey, man, I appreciate you being on and making the time for us. So Carlos is an attorney in Miami, Florida. He has 22 years in family, criminal, civil rights, and general litigation and law. So, hey, Carlos, thanks again, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and more about your firm.
So I started my legal career actually in the Marine Corps back in 1996. And so I did 3.5 years, almost 4 years of active duty as a judge advocate, what people commonly refer to as JAG, all over the place. My first assignment was Okinawa, Japan, which was a great place to go as a brand new Marine lieutenant in the late 90s. And then where I had a really interesting job. I was something they call the Japanese jurisdiction officer. So every time a Marine would get arrested by the Japanese out in town or was facing charges, we would work with the Japanese Ministry of Justice to try to get the cases transferred to us so that we could prosecute them if we could, or at least get them dismissed. The idea was that we wanted Marines prosecuted under U.S. law, not foreign law. That's the policy of the U.S. government. So, very busy job. After that, I served some time in North Carolina. One of my jobs there was as a prosecutor, where I handled some misconduct cases pending against Marines. And then I left active duty 2003 and came to Miami to start a civilian legal career. I worked for a big law firm here in downtown, handling a huge class action lawsuit where I was part of a big team of lawyers. And then in 2003, I got called up for a year and a half of mobilization in the Middle East. So it took some time to prepare for that. I actually spent 7 months on the ground in Iraq, in a place called Camp Fallujah, Al-Anbar province in Iraq. When I came back, you still with me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Yep. Okay. So when I came back, I basically started my own practice, and I've been doing that ever since 2006. I continue in serving in the Marine Corps Reserve, and so now I think I'm at 24 years or something like that time in the Marine Corps Reserve. So I do that. I balance that with what I do here in the law firm. So the law firm initially started as with a focus on real estate, and that lasted till about 2008 when the market changed, and then we shifted our focus. And since then, for the most part, I've been working commercial litigation cases where I represent business clients on both ends of lawsuits, defending or suing. And we also have a pretty busy family law practice that is sometimes kind of related to what we do with our business clients. They kind of bring us their personal issues, and we handle those. So anything from divorces to adoptions to guardianship type cases, probate, administering estates, and things like that.
Well, first, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
That is quite impressive. You've been to all over the world representing the United States, so it's very admirable. It really is. And then also continuing to serve in the reserves. That's a big commitment. Definitely time wise and mental capacity. So it's not. I applaud you. So very nice.
Thank you.
What made you move to Miami?
My brother was living here in the late 90s. He went to school at the University of Miami, and I went to school in the Midwest, where it's very cold. So I would come down here for spring break to visit my brother. I'd be like, "What? This is great! Like, why don't I just move here?"
Yeah.
So I did. Yeah. When I graduated, 97, I moved down here.
Yeah, smart, very smart. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's cool. Great. Hey, so a lot of couple different practice areas that you have. What are some different ways that you go about getting new clients?
So we try to network in the legal community with other attorneys, and that maybe don't do the things that we do. And a lot of the times we get calls from those attorneys and say, "Hey, I have this particular client that needs help in something that you do." We also use social media like Facebook and Instagram, and some attorney referral services where people go online and they type up what their problem is, and then we contact them and then try to help them with their problems.
Gotcha. So a lot of referrals. It sounds like online aggregators where they get the lead and then they'll either kind of
Yeah.
resell it or provide it to you. Like Avos, is that one?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. How do you feel like those work for you?
I think that most of the people that do that go to a website to try to find a lawyer, they're not maybe not the optimal sort of place to look for clients. Um, it's been much better when another attorney refers it to you because they're
Yeah.
already known entities. They can provide a reference as to how they behave, because that attorney-client relationship is very smart. I mean, very important. It has to work. It's like any other relationship. And so when it's already sort of been done with somebody that does what you do and they understand how we operate, it works much better. A lot of the times
Yeah.
when you just use some kind of search engine or some kind of website set up by somebody, you get a lot of people that either don't have the resources to hire an attorney or have not dealt with an attorney before, and so there's some sort of there's a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
We reject a
Uh,
lot of cases that just come off the street, basically, or through social media.
I agree with you. Referrals, we hear that a lot here on this podcast, that they're a great source. And hey, nobody loves referrals more than I do for my business, and it's the same for any business. They're the best, right? High trust.
Yes.
When it comes to those internet leads, it could be hit or miss. One of the things that we found is that if you really narrow in the messaging that goes out to the world, and things like the articles and blog posts that you put on your website, and Google picks up on those, and then you can start to fine tune the leads that come in versus, like you said, kind of the
Yes.
random ones where you have to educate them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So when you get a prospective client coming to you in one way or another,
Yes.
what is your process, and what tools do you use for taking them from that prospective client all the way to when they become a client?
So we normally schedule a consultation where we talk to people about their problem, and we do it in a very informal way. Now, a lot more. Now we're doing it over this kind of tool, the internet, Zoom or Hangouts or WhatsApp or whatever they have. Before we used to meet people in person. That's not so popular anymore. And honestly, I think this is a much better tool sometimes because it's very efficient. It's cheaper, right, for most people also to do it from anywhere. They don't have to come to you, park,
Yeah.
come up the elevator, all that time, saved. And so we talk to people about their problems, and then we tell them whether we can actually help them. Sometimes that we can't, or we tell them we're very honest about, maybe your case, given what you're telling me, assuming everything is true and we can be proven, maybe not so great for you. And sometimes we'll take a case, even though the case maybe might not, be the best case in terms of the likelihood of success, but the person needs legal representation. So we don't not only take good cases, we also take bad cases sometimes.
Yeah.
Bad meaning that you might not prevail, but at least you have legal representation, because maybe the facts are not on your side, but you still need to kind of navigate the procedural aspect. Maybe you negotiate a better deal than you otherwise would get. So we talk about fees and costs, and we try to do that at the end after we hear a person's situation. And that's kind of like the harder part of the conversation, talking money. Unlike doctors, for example, they typically, have insurance that backs them up. Clients come with insurance, so there's a third party that's going to pay. But in our case, for the most part, the clients pay out of pocket. So we have to be very careful in the way in which we sort of discuss that in a sort of friendly and, courteous way that doesn't turn off potential clients.
That is interesting. That the analogy or the comparison to doctors, right? They don't have to worry about that when it comes to
Right.
talking to clients.
Right.
It's just their clients are patients, but they just do the work, and
Right.
then they don't worry about that nasty stuff, money.
Right.
Right. But yeah, in the legal profession, clearly there needs to be a discussion. And if there's not, then someone's going to be surprised, and it's usually the client.
Yes.
So yeah, things like rates, expected number of hours. I'm sure that comes up a lot, right?
Yes.
Do you bill by the hour always? Do you ever do like fixed costs, anything like that?
It depends on the case. When sometimes, like for example, I have a case right now that is one of these employment discrimination cases that is going through the EEOC, and then I have a state claim against the actual perpetrator, and it's a pretty ugly case where a supervisor sexually harasses a female subordinate, and at some point like puts a knife to her throat and crazy stuff, like a belt around her neck. It's in a construction site. So those kinds of cases you typically will take on a contingency basis because the client is either, like maybe minimum wage earner, or doesn't have a lot of resources, and so and when the facts are on your side and you're in a good position, it's worth accepting that risk. But there's other cases, like I was saying, that where maybe the odds are not so great for that particular client, so we cannot accept the risk of loss in those cases. But we actually have a pretty proven method for calculating what somebody's fees would be to get through at least the mediation process, which is where 99% of the cases that we handle typically are resolved at. Very few cases actually go to trial. So we'll charge them an upfront fee that's equivalent to what we think, given our billable rates and the people that are involved and the work involved will take to get us through mediation. And if we don't get it done then we have to have another conversation with the client about, how much more it will cost. And it's kind of unfortunate in a sense because, accessing the legal system, having legal representation is a very expensive thing. It's not something that anybody really ever saves for. Nobody keeps like a legal fund, just in case I need to hire a lawyer to sue or defend from a lawsuit. So when these things come up there, people are mostly surprised. Unless you have a very wealthy client that has deep pockets, most people that live on a salary have to really struggle to cover legal expenses.
Yeah it can certainly get expensive, and one of the things that I learned once I started to engage my business lawyer when I opened up this business is ask for estimates, right?
Yes.
Because if it's open-ended, I'll probably be surprised, but also I will say completely worth it. I know as a client, when I speak to my lawyer, I feel at ease. Everything's going to be fine, right? And so that's the way that it should be. And I'm sure you make your clients feel like that as well.
Yes, we take ownership of their problem.
Yeah.
And we manage it for them. And we try to insulate them as much as possible from sort of the whole the stress associated with not knowing what they don't know, because they don't do this every day.
Yeah.
And even with that insulation that we provide, it's still stressful for the client because the outcome is never really guaranteed for anything.
Yeah, agreed. What are your business or what are your growth plans? I should say your growth plans for the next couple of years, so the next 2 to 5 years.
So we plan to increase our networking efforts in the community. So things as simple as attending more sort of social gatherings with other lawyers in the community, and also maybe building our social media presence by creating a bigger website and maybe optimizing our social media marketing plan so that more people are attracted to the firm.
Nice.
So we're not located in a sort of street level type office. We are on the 16th floor of an office building. Nobody sees us, right? We're kind of like in this little cubby hole. So we have to kind of reach out to the world for them to know that we actually even exist. and that we could help them with their problems.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's awesome, and I think you're going to get there. You have a very impressive story. So, if someone would like to get in touch with you and either pick your brain on how you've done what you've done, or maybe they have a referral for you, what is a good way to get in touch with you?
So there's 3 good ways. You can just call us over the phone. The number is 305-285-5899. You can go to our website at dlf-pa.com or at facebook.com/Davila Law Firm.
Fantastic. Appreciate your time. All right, everybody. If you would like to watch more excellent episodes like this one, you can check out our entire backlog at arraylaw.com/podcast. We have 130, maybe more podcasts there, organized by where the law firm is located, their state, and also their practice area. So you can find exactly what you're looking for. And if you're interested in digital marketing for your law firm, check out my company, Array Digital, at arraylaw.com. We focus on websites, search engine optimization, online advertising, and social media. Carlos, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.